You can't be an animal lover and be a non-vegan. It just doesn't work that way. The only way that you can really honestly stand up and say that you love animals is by not contributing towards their exploitation and their suffering. A while ago, in the US, there was a survey undertaken where participants were questioned as to whether or not they considered themselves to be animal lovers. The vast majority of people that partook in this survey answered affirmatively that they did actually consider themselves to be animal lovers. It was only after they were questioned in more detail following the survey that it became clear that virtually everybody that had answered yes had actually been thinking of dogs and cats. Very few had given any thought to the other animals that are in their lives on a daily basis, the ones that get exploited and abused, the cows and sheep and pigs and chickens. This kind of inconsistency is actually quite typical of pre-vegans. Take, for example, the classic scenario of the dog who is left in a car on a hot summer's day. Whenever these kind of scenarios are talked about online in forums or on news websites, you'll generally get a lot of people very indignant, very outraged actually that somebody could have treated a dog in this way. You'll see even people that cry out violence towards whoever it is that's responsible. Some people even willing to take on that violence into their own hands. They say, let me get my hands on this person and I'll show them what for. Or they, at the very least, they want for this person to experience the same kind of suffering that the dog was made to experience. But what confuses me is that they feel such an outrage towards the harm done towards the dog, and yet they turn a blind eye and they completely don't really want to know about the animals which they are financing the suffering of on a daily basis. So I've always made a point of going to these discussions and telling people this and saying, why do you feel so outraged about the dog being caused to suffer on a hot summer's day, and yet turned a blind eye to the fact that a pig has been forced to live its entire life in a 6 by 4 foot stall on a concrete floor? Why don't you feel the same kind of compassion towards that pig? Why is it that you turned a blind eye to the fact that the chickens which are on their plate or that are responsible for the eggs which they eat have probably spent their life in a cage which is just slightly bigger than 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot? I mean, why is it they don't feel the same kind of outrage for these things as they do about the dog? Now, this kind of whenever I put these comments, it's generally followed by a lot of people that will tell me off. They'll say, "What are you talking about? You're talking nonsense." They'll come up with whatever reasons they can for justifying the exploitation of these animals, and the very least they'll admit that they do feel some compassion for these animals. They don't like that they're having to live their lives this way, but hey, we have to eat, don't we? That may be so that we have to eat, but that does not mean that we have to eat animals. We can get by perfectly well on a plant-based diet. This has been proven by countless studies over the world and by a growing number of vegan people who are living long and healthy lives. In fact, it's been shown that eating a plant-based diet is better for our own health. It's a win-win situation, really. It's better for us, it's better for the animals, it's better for the environment. Another thing that people think is that being a vegan, we must be animal lovers. But really, strictly speaking, I don't believe that that's true either. I don't consider myself to be an animal lover in the classic way. I'm not one of these people that sees an animal and thinks, oh, I must hug it and cuddle it and fondle it. I'm more one of these vegans who thinks we should just leave animals alone. We should let them get on with their lives and get on with ours without exploiting them, without abusing them, without using them. We should refuse to take animal products into our life. And so I think the whole idea of being an animal lover is not something which is actually a necessity when we're vegans. For example, if I were to come across a tiger in nature, I wouldn't suddenly think, "Oh, I've got an abundance of love for you, tiger." I'd probably feel fear, if anything. I don't sort of have like a unconditional love for all animals, but what I do have is a feeling of not wanting to harm any of them. I don't want to interfere in their lives. I don't want you to interfere in their lives either. I just don't think it's right. My message to all pre-vegans out there is, please, if you are expressing compassion and empathy towards cats and dogs, then please extend that compassion and empathy to other animals, to the cows and the sheep and the pigs and the chickens and any other animals which get abused on a daily basis, and that you are willfully financing the continuation of their abuse. Please stop doing that. You don't need to be doing it. You can bring your feelings of loving animals in line with your actions.